He's a secret. You guys don't know about it yet. I met Green River Post a couple of weeks ago whenever I was looking for posts for my farm. And come to find out, they're a company that has got a large footprint, and they're small, they're locally owned, and they're doing really well. And I'm going to invite them up right now to kind of show us our business plan, what they're doing, how they're doing it. Come on up, Sam.
Well, I was asked 5 minutes ago to do this presentation, so I'll do my best here. My name is Sam Hafer. I was raised in southern Alberta on an 18,000-acre cattle farm. I grew up on a horse. I tried to get off the horses as quick as I could and into we had a welding shop because I like to fool around in a welding shop. And I had an uncle, and I found that if I pleased my uncle, he'd cater to me. So when he needed something done and something welded, I would weld it. I remember one time I built this little boat, and I was kind of ashamed of it, but I took it down to the lake to see if it would float. And here all these guys are around the dock, and they look at this boat, and I literally was scared to look up because I was so afraid what people would think of my boat. And I was walking around, and they said, "So you built this?" I said, "Yeah, I built that thing, yeah." And he said, "Well, you want to sell it?" And I just, "What?" And so I said, "Well, what would you give me for it?" And the guy very quickly says, "Well, we'd give you so much." I says, "Really?" He bought the boat, and I figured, man, I can build another boat. That ended up building 50 boats. And so I found out, hey, I like to build boats. The biggest one we built was a 40-footer. I asked the guys what they're going to do. They says they're going to float for a month up the Mackenzie River on a 2-month drunk. They paid cash for it, and they floated up the Mackenzie River. So here I am building boats. So then we took the boats to Old Mexico, and they said, well, we started a fabrication shop down there. I was going down there to see some friends, and one thing led to another as far as fabricating, and I learned something in life, that if you solve people's problems, you'll never be out of work. So you say, well, what on earth are you doing in Kentucky? And I've told that to my son. My son Sam sits right here. Him and I work together. I said, if you solve people's problems, you will never be out of a job. That's the greatest job security there is. So I said, I look for problems. In fact, is the Chinese use the word distress as opportunity. I love to play more than I love to work. I'm not a businessman, but Henry Ford says it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I got a hold of Marion here. She built us a website to do the things that I hate to do. I hate computer time. I love to play, I love to fish, I love to play guitar, and I'm looking for time to do that. But at 56 years old, you've got to have money, because without money, you do nothing, right? So you say, well, what are you doing in Kentucky? We've come to Kentucky 4 years ago because we have 5 grandchildren here, and Grandpa loves his grandchildren. And my son kept saying, what will we do? I says, well, if we move to Kentucky and we push a broom, I says, we're going to be the best broomists that Kentucky has. They said, well, what are you going to do? I says, I don't have a clue. So we met this guy one day, and he said, I heard that you know how to fabricate. Your son-in-law told me you know what you're doing. I says, well, I can. He says, well, I've got this mill. He says, would you come and look at it? So we drove over at 8 o'clock in the evening, and I looked at his mill, and he says, I've got a problem. He says, we're slowly losing money. And so we worked all night in the mill, rearranged a few things, got things working, worked there for about 2-3 weeks, and he says, I'm thinking of shutting the place down. I says, well, I said, before you shut it down, I says, if I can double your production, would I have a livelihood here? He says, yeah. He says, but he says, I don't have the money to pay you. So I worked for a month, redid everything, built him a job, so everything. At the end of 2 months, he'd made 20 grand. He says, hey, you've got yourself a job. He says, from now on, don't do any work unless you bill me. So he started making posts, and making more posts and making more posts. And one day he says to me, he says, the last year we paid $160,000 just to get these posts treated. Would you be interested in getting a treating plant? So, make a long story short, we went to Winchester, bought a treating plant that had shut down, set it up in Seabury. Now we treat our own posts. Then a mill went broke up here, a Seabury fence, and I asked why they go broke, and they went broke because the production was too varied. So he says, if you could build us a machine that would bring the production and make these boards perfect, we'd have business. So I built several machines for him, and the production got into basically perfect, and we got an order for 500 loads, and we got an order for another 250 loads, and today we supply the privacy fence boards for Menards, for Lowe's, for Universal, for Capital Fence, for all these companies, simply solving these problems. A problem I have right now is Marion built me a website for my fence posts. I have to sell more fence posts. Our privacy fence boards are all sold. In fact, we're 50 loads behind, a good problem. But I have too many fence posts, and I'm looking for some way to sell them more. She built me a website, and that's a long story short. And here we are in Kentucky. And is there any questions? The mill is owned by 3 Amish Mennonites. And I'm the English person there, and I'm the guy on the internet, and so I came working together with Marion. Marion told me about this, and so here I am. Just raw and uncut, that's the way it is.
Well, so you don't own these companies?
I do not own this company.
But
When I was in Alberta, the boat company started into a company that I owned called Industrial Buckets. You can look it up. There's probably 100 people working there right now as we speak. But I sold it to one of my best friends and basically own shares in it.
so when these people that were having these problems wanted to actually to sell out or close down, you just went in and made them.
Them guys bought the mill, and I built the machines. I built about 5 machines there that does this product. And today we have them contracts, and the contracts will keep, they say, as long as the product stays what it is. The biggest thing is if you're going to deliver a product, it has to be excellent or you lose. Because there's 10 people waiting there for them contracts all the time. Go ahead.
An observation. Obviously, you've built a business in the past, sold it, you were successful with it. You've really used those same skill sets to help build this business, even though you may not be the owner of this one. That spirit of realizing that you've got to find a niche, you've got to find a need and meet that, that's as entrepreneurial as it gets. What's been the biggest challenge or going forward for this business that you've seen?
That I've seen, the biggest challenge to go forward for this business was, number one, the finances. And for instance, when we did the treating plant, we had 0 money. And we phoned a guy and he says, you know how to do it. And because they did a little bit of research of what we had already done, they says, we'll have 100,000 in that account tomorrow. And because the banks wouldn't have looked at us.
Right.
And so people had trust because of that. And I said to my son, every single problem I've had in life, I get to use now. And I says, problems are good if you learn how to solve them. You know, instead of letting them get the best of you, you use them as a stepping stone. And it's funny, I look at life as a toolbox. Every single problem you have gets you another tool that you get to use later on in life. Let me say one thing real quickly. One of the ugliest things, in my opinion, is religion. There's a big difference between religion and Christ. But the favorite thing in my mind that I use is Proverbs 16 verse 3. It says, commit your works unto the Lord, and your thoughts shall be established. So anytime I run against the problem, I go, look, God, I need help. And many times I've been in the middle of a dream, and I find out how to make a machine, go over there and order all the parts and put it together, and it's working. And people say, wow, are you a jinxter, or is that supernatural? I think it's supernatural. But if you work in your gift and you do what you love, you feel like you never work. You love life. You love to do what you're doing. So, go ahead.
I just had a question about what are the differences between being in business in Canada and being in business in the United States?
In Canada, it's much more legislated. Like in Canada, if you're on any jobs, down here I notice I'm also a journeyman crane operator, I have my ticket. is there's people walking around all job sites. If you don't carry the ticket in your wallet, you're off the job. There's no tolerance. Down here, you can get away with murder. I mean, it is so much better down here in the States. Like the legal system, we think we have trouble here. That's nothing compared to a job. Like I've worked a lot of commercial job sites, built a lot of elevators, and the inspectors were steady around. You have to have everything in order. If you don't, you're done. And what I see going on here at construction sites and people and stuff like that, never. And so you have so much more opportunity here in the States. I love the States. I am a dual citizen. Go ahead.
Okay, so you've been here for 4 years.
4 years, yes, sir.
You've been kind of coming to Million Cups. What is your you're at Million Cups, 1 million cups. What's your plan for the future? Because you don't seem to be the type of guy that's going to work for the fence company for the next 10 years.
I basically, they give me a contract and now they give me all the sales that I want. So basically, I've got my freedom. If I can sell posts, and that's why I'm looking to Marion. Marion, we gotta get that post company up front, and so that I'll be able to get up when I want to. Like this morning, I could have slept till noon, but I couldn't because I have to be there. We have to do these contracts, and work is good. What's that?
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
One of the favorite sayings that I use all the time that my late father taught me is, talk is cheap, whiskey costs money. It's one thing to have an idea, it's another thing to get out and incorporate it, but if you are willing to work in today's society, you will never be lacking. Because that's what society needs, is people who go out and work, and they're not afraid to work, and they're not afraid of challenges. So, life is exciting, it is good, it's just, every day is good. And hopefully the stock market keeps going up. Yes, Mary?
What I find interesting, in his story, what I found interesting originally was the fact that he made this bucket company, these industrial buckets. It went very, very, very well. He looked for other opportunities because that evidently was no longer even much fun for him. I think you're exactly right. I think that he's going to be doing this, and then as soon as he finds something else he wants to do, he might keep this as part of his portfolio, but I think he's always even looking for ideas and ways to fix things and solutions to problems. So, you know, I asked that question, he asked again, what do you think you're going to do in 10 years? Because I don't think you can sit down and just sleep on it.
Well, to be honest with you, that's the problem. We've worked in the federal prison system, doing guitar, doing music. If I had my way, I've got a book I've written, and I have people that are begging me to publish it. Haven't had the time to do it. There's things I want to do, and one of them is definitely not do business. I want to hire people, like marry different people. Hey, look, can you take care of this so I can play? I mean, that's selfish or whatever. I don't know. But that's what I like to do. I'm
I think
not
it's brilliant.
for sale.
What you're doing is creating opportunities for somebody else.
Yes.
You know, I mean, Marion's not doing it for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's a good point. I thought, man, there's 30 people working that didn't have jobs before because of this mill. And and then the industrial buckets is over 100 people working, and now they're doing contracts with oil fields up in South Dakota. And it's just went way beyond anything I ever imagined. And the thing I look back and my biggest regrets are is moving too fast. If I just stayed hold of this, wouldn't have sold my shares so quick and lost opportunity. I mean, you can't even think about it. It hurts so bad. What could be?
We all have that.
You know, just a record of lost opportunity. Man, if I'd have just stayed and had kept them shares or just done that, boom. I could play now, but I have to still do things to maintain my lifestyle. Go ahead, ma'am.
And then this is, I guess, probably more of an observation than a question, but when I moved to Kentucky from St. Louis quite a few years ago, I found that I had a difficult time, at least in the early times, understanding people. Do you find a language barrier?
Do I find a language barrier? To me, the greatest secret I've learned in life, I think, of communication is focus on the other person, not on yourself. Like even this session here, I feel like I'm bragging, but if I meet people, I have a lot of truckers come in and ask them all about themselves and talk about them, and I find they're warming up, and now my truckers come in there and start telling me all their problems, and I just listen. So to me, the greatest asset anybody has is just listening to people. And I have not found language barriers. I cannot understand the people in the South. I have to really strain to understand Marion here a little bit, because she talks fast and has a different accent, and I'm just going, oh, I don't want to say, please say it again, but I keep, can you say that again? Sorry.
Sam, just say, speak English, will you?
Yeah.
Say that to me, yeah.
Good luck, email.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you told us what you regret and what you would do differently about the, not holding on to your stock. What did you do well? What are you proud of that you're like, gosh, I'm so glad I did this, and maybe you didn't intend, or maybe you did?
To me, there's people in prisons in Deer Lodge, Montana, people on death row, people all over who said, you know what, you don't know me, but I know you. My life has totally changed. To me, I says, you know what, I would work for money, and then I would go spend a year. We lived in Mexico, we've been to China, smuggled Bibles in up North Korea, did a lot of different stuff, and I'd make it, and then I'd play till it was gone. Make it, but now I'm 56, and I want to have something when I retire. I guess that's the difference. We're all getting older, we're not getting younger.
How many times have you heard in Kentucky, you're not from around here, are you?
Every day, every other trucker. Yeah.
I've been here 40 years and I still hear it.
Yes, yes. So we love Kentucky, we love the long weather, we love that it's not 40 below. When I finished some jobs in Alberta, I worked in 65 below. You'd do one welding rod and then you'd shake your hands as hard as you could, or there'd be frostbitten and your guy chipped it off, and that's how you'd work. 60 below zero. And so I love Kentucky. If I never see snow again, it'll be too soon.
Now, you mentioned a few things about, the outreach programs that you do and stuff like that. You haven't told them, he's got a couple of CDs he's gotten as far as some recording contracts and stuff like that. He's written a book, he hasn't been published yet. So he's got a lot of other things in the mix there. So when he says play, he really means go forth and conquer the music and the book. I think a lot of it is. So, I mean, it's kind of fascinating, but from our end, we're hearing a lot of cool things, but we're also hearing some questions like, what do you want to do next? What's the biggest challenge you have right now outside of the post portion of it that you're trying to solve right now on behalf of Green River Post?
On behalf of Green River Post is getting our website out, #1, because I believe we can do that, and to make that a success, basically. Selfishly, because it's where I am, and I like to do my best, but so that I can be totally free and come and go as I want to. And that's my goal. Definitely, life and chance happens to everybody, right? It's not, the swift doesn't always win the race. Good things happen to bad people, bad things happen to good people. I mean,
on the Menards contract, how did you all go about getting that, and you're growing that contract?
We took boards into Menards, and the greatest thing was, if you have a 4-foot saw that makes the width of your boards, then saws always wow. So they could not get the boards the perfect width. Like if you see a fence and a board's wide and narrow. So because they sell these to the public, I built a machine. It was an upright planer, and that made these boards after the product was done. It put it through and it fine-tuned and took all the stuff off. And so we took them a board and they said, well, this board is perfect. The dog ears are perfect. Can you consistently do that with millions of boards? So that machine basically gave them the business. And then when we took over the business of dog-eared fence boards, their best day was 15,000 board feet a day. Today, the same mill produces an average of 50,000 board feet a day. Just critiquing a few things and bringing in some better machines.
Wow.
It's just the way it is. That's what happened. Any other questions? And if you want a music CD, these are all, like, it's black and white. Anybody can have one. I'll bring you one, you can have one. We made 3 music CDs, had a 5-year contract with Century 2 out of Nashville. Got to meet all the people in Nashville, lots of them, a lot of country stars and stuff like that. Became friends with them. And real living is living in Kentucky, sleeping. We'd be gone for 2 months at a time doing concerts through Central America, all over. And real living is being home every night with your wife and family and being with your grandkids. That's the ultimate in this life, not the money.
So are there bonfires with music at your house that we should know about?
There has been all the time, but the last 4 years I've just said no to everything because I used to live in the road. We sold our music bus about a year ago. One of my best friends, Heath Bain, we buried him on his 27th birthday. He was the lead guitar player. We were just getting ready to do the Cayman Islands, and I said to my wife, I said, I'm coming home. That's it. It's done. It's over. So that happened
Play
last
music
March.
at home?
What's that?
Play music at home?
We play music all the time. Songs about life. You know, we had one song did number 14 on the thing, and we had another song doing number 3 on Christian country music. Looking for Answers did number 3. Imagination Station did number 14. But to me, Nashville is such a racket, and today with the internet and with YouTube, you do not need Nashville. Nashville, to me, if you talk with most country singers, it's just taking advantage of all these young people that come there. Because every other waitress could probably sing better than a lot of the people that are country stars. So it's the people that have the big money, they get in, and a lot of songs hit number 10 on the country charts before they're even out because somebody's paying underneath the table. And we found all this out. It was so good just to come home because things are rigged. Things ain't what they used to be. I guess with American Idol, if you're good, that still will take you somewhere. But if you go to Nashville, expect to be fleeced and sent home.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? I'm done.
Sam? Thank you very much. True confession here and transparency. You'll recall, those of you who were here last week, that we had one presenter lined up, and so we tried something. We had a video of a really good presentation from, I guess it was Kansas City, and we talked about that with the group to say, hey, when we happen to have one presenter, you know, does this work for us to have a backup? Well, we had one scheduled presenter this week. And Sam, that was an amazing performance, I'll call it, to stand up with no notice and do that. So a special thank you to you. Marion pressed you into service at the last minute because the video that we had lined up, we had technical difficulties. Kevin wasn't here yet, and we couldn't figure out how to get it to load up properly. So in any event, we hope we have 2 great presentations like both of these going forward. When we don't, we'll hopefully be able to get our technical act together so that we can pull off a good second presentation, even if it's from away. Come back, bring a friend. What can we do different and better through 1 Million Cups to meet your needs? Be thinking about that and provide the organizers, Aaron Spencer, Marion Miller, Carol Jones, myself, Ruth Ann Padgett. Let us know. Carol?
This was something that I promised a few people if they would come more often, that we, when we did it the 1 week, go around and introduce ourselves. I want to know who's here because this
We have
was
a couple of
amazing
minutes.
this morning. So
That's
if
great.
there's time, can we do that?
Sure. Let's start over here. Riley, we know who you are.
And tell who you work for or what your business is or whatever.
Okay, well, Riley Denver, Hopkins Clover, and dental hygienist for Dr. Greg Hag, so stand up.
Thank you.
I am her father, Randy Boyd, and I work for the Department of Labor.
I'm Barbara Cotton, and I work for Economic Development.
Aaron Spencer, Kentucky Restaurant Supply.
Bruce Spencer, Spencer Brothers.
Ronnie Knoll, Dan Reynolds, and Knoll Property.
Cook, Economic Development.
Maria Lee Blackdog Fiber Studio, downtown Madisonville.
Rachel Nance Wheeler, Potluck Church. I'll explain it sometime in person.
Amanda?
Amanda Keith, I have a small shop called Amanda Sutter Street.
I'm Elizabeth Alden from Blade Salon and Day Spa.
Hi, I'm Carol Jones. I'm a massage therapist at the Morton House.
Sarah Brownheimer, Kentucky Small Business Development Center.
Sam, we know who you
Sam,
are.
Sam Hofer, I treat wood with my dad. Both. Good.
Tracy Carlton, and I'm loan processing manager at First United Bank.
Hi, I'm Jamie Bundren with the Economic Development Corporation.
I'm Jamie Lawrence with the Penny Rider Development District.
I'm Sharon Lobell. I'm with Corporate All Inclusive Rentals. Stephanie Townsell, First United Bank.
Tim Till, United Southern Bank.
Rhonda Clark, Genesis Pure.
Sherry Buchanan, Catering and Creations.
Sharon Smith, Merlin Cosmetics.
Marion Miller, Complete Marketing Resources, downtown at the Morton House. With Carol.
And Ruth Ann Patchett, Economic Development.
Kevin Cotton, Madison Fire Department, and the owner of Brothers Barbecue.
Tara Edwards, advisor at Edward Jones.
And I'm Mark Lee, Paragon of Madisonville, Paragon Development Consultants, and privileged to serve on Madisonville City Council. So, great suggestion. We may not do that every time, but I think it's great periodically as we can to have the time to do that. All right, if there's, yes,
One more
ma'am.
thing. We have the opportunity to do many different type programs when we pull them in from the grid, as it were, from 1 Million Cups. Any specific types of businesses that you're interested in, or you'd like to see a presentation on that's done in a larger community, let us know what that is, and we'll round that for you as well. Even if you just send it to you so you can see the link, that'd be great, or we can show it here.
Very
So
good.
whatever you're interested in, let us know.
Sarah?
If you have any questions about this flyer, please see Ruth Ann or me, we can explain all about it.
Sign up. The lead speaker, the keynote speaker on that is someone who's done a presentation here that some of you may have seen, Jonathan Burton, and he rocks. He rocks. So sign up for that. All right, if there's nothing further, have some more coffee. Ruth Ann.
On the back of your announcement sheet, there is an innovation luncheon where we'll be honoring entrepreneurs in Hopkins County. If you are an entrepreneur, own your own business, please contact us. We'd like to honor you with the lunch. There will be awards, about 3 or 4 awards at this event. Registration goes through November 3rd.
Thank you. See you next